Intent means what she wants to do. Form means her outward appearance. So she wants to act in a way, and accordingly she wants to change her appearance, her form. Hello and welcome back to NibblePop. We are doing a thorough textual reading and analysis of William Shakespeare's Twelfth Night. We have already done the opening scene of the first act in our earlier video, and today in this video we are going to look at the second scene of the first act. The exposition part of the play is still going on, and here we are going to meet one of the very key figures of this play, that is Viola. She is now on the coast of Illyria, on the Adriatic coast of Illyria. Viola has reached Illyria after a shipwreck, and she feels that her brother is dead. She comes to know about other two key figures of this play, Orsino and Olivia, through the course of this scene. So what happens to her, what she decides, and how this scene turns out is going to be the content of this video of this series. Stay connected, and if you haven't subscribed yet, please do so that you get notified every time a new video comes up. This is Monami Mukherjee. Welcome once again. In the previous scene, we have seen Duke Orsino sitting with his attendants, thinking about Olivia, talking about music. Here we will see a different scene altogether. We see a woman on stage. We are not told her name if we are watching the play. If you are reading the play, then of course we know that her name is Viola. She is accompanied with a captain, that is the sea captain, and some sailors. She is speaking to the sea captain, and it's her conversation with the captain that forms this whole scene for us. What country, friends, is this? She doesn't know anything about Illyria yet. This is Illyria, lady. And what should I do in Illyria? My brother, he is in Elysium. Elysium was this traditional idea of heaven, paradise, where the Greeks believed their heroes are sent after their death and they are turned immortal. Why is Viola talking about Elysium here? Because she feels that her brother has died after the shipwreck. And somehow the name Illyria starts with the sound E, and the word Elysium also starts with the word E. So she's connecting these two places and says that she doesn't have anything to do here because her brother is far, far away in Elysium now. And then she's expressing some hope. Perchance he is not drowned. What think of you, sailors? So she's trying to hold on to this hope that maybe her brother has not died, has survived. And the captain, he tells her, if it is perchance that you yourself were saved. So it was by accident that you were saved. So think of it as fortunate enough that you were saved. And we don't know how we can assure you right now that your brother is alive too. Oh, my poor brother, and so perchance may he be? True, madam, and to comfort you with chance, assure yourself. So this captain, this sea captain, is trying to give her some assurance that it's okay to hope that her brother is still alive, and he is giving her some information about what he had seen right after the shipwreck. And to comfort you with chance, assure yourself, after our ship did split, so their ship practically broke apart into two parts. When you and those poor numbers saved with you, so this sea captain and the sailors, they could manage to save a few people from the boat, from that ship, and Viola was one of them. You and those poor numbers saved with you hung on our driving boat. So there was this lifeboat in which she could manage to get into. I saw your brother, most provident in peril. Peril means danger. So at that time, the sea captain, he could see that far away from their lifeboat, her brother, we know the name, Sebastian, the brother, he was trying to save himself, and he was acting in a provident way, in a wise way, in a brave way. Bind himself. So he was binding himself, this man, Sebastian, Viola's brother. He was trying to save himself from drowning by binding himself to what? Courage and hope, both teaching him the practice. To a strong mast. Mast is that long, usually wooden structure that acts as the central beam of a ship. So when the ship broke, that mast also fell, and since it was made of wood, it was floating, and Sebastian was holding on to that. And how was that possible? What helped him do that? His courage and hope. He was able to hold on to that mast and keep himself from drowning by courage. To a strong mast that lived upon the sea, where now he is using a simile or an allusion here. He is alluding to a character from mythology. Where, like Arion on the dolphin's back, I saw him hold acquaintance with the waves so long as I could see. So Sebastian was floating just like Arion did. Now, who was Arion and why was he floating? Let me tell you this story in a brief way. Now, Arion, he was a very legendary, famous Greek musician and poet. He was a Dionysian person, which means he was a follower of Dionysus, and it was he who composed a dithyramb, which was the prayer or the song that was addressed to Dionysus. Now, Arion, he was very famous, and he went for this competition where he won. So when he was returning home in ship, the sailors, they got very greedy because it was a lot of prize money and things that he received as gifts. So they wanted to get rid of Arion and get his things. And they offered him two options. One, he would have to commit suicide, and then he would be given a proper burial on land when they reach land. And second is, he would be thrown into the sea. Now, Arion did not want either of that. He said that he wanted to sing a song for the last time. He was actually trying to buy time, So they gave him permission, and he started singing. He started playing on this instrument that he used to play on, and that instrument was called a kitara. Listening to his beautiful music, dolphins came flocking towards that ship, and then when he jumped into the sea, it was believed that one of the dolphins, it saved him from drowning and carried him off to this sanctuary of Poseidon, and he was saved. It is also believed that those dolphins were probably sent by Apollo, because Apollo is also the god of these fine arts and music, and he was pleased with Arion. Now, for us, references like these might seem very scholarly, very educated, erudite, and we might ask questions like, how can a sea captain talk about these Greek myths? But to these sea captains, especially these people who lived practically all their lives on sea, these mythologies, they come very naturally because they all think about these stories. They have been told for generations. So it's not very unusual for a sea captain to talk about Arion as a passing reference. Okay, and he gives Viola this hope that maybe just like Arion was saved by the dolphin, your brother might be saved by that mast. So that mast is compared to this dolphin, and Sebastian is compared to Arion. Viola makes a very important gesture. She gives him some money. For saying so, there is gold. Now, we might see this as an expression of gratitude, that the sailor comforted Viola, saying that yes, your brother might be very much alive. He was trying to save himself convincingly, and Viola gives him that gold or that money as an expression of gratitude. But this is also very important, because the moment Viola gives this man money, she not only manages to gain some kind of loyalty in this man, but she also begins to have a protection. Usually, women travelers alone did not feel very safe back then. So therefore, she had to make this economic exchange in order to establish the fact that she is like this upper class person who has some money, and the sailor is supposed to serve her. And she is feeling protected by this exchange of, monetary value. Otherwise, what would happen? The sailor might start having this feeling that now I can, take advantage of the good feelings that I have generated in this woman. So she wants to maintain a distance, and at the same time she wants to have further service from this man. So from this gesture we see that this is a woman with a lot of practical sense and presence of mind. She knows where to reward whom in order to get the best benefits to survive. For saying so, there is gold. And then she says, mine own escape unfoldeth to my hope. Unfoldeth means opens up. So I have escaped. Mine own escape has opened up this hope, whereto thy speech serves for authority. You are a person of the sea. You are a sea captain. So your speech or your observation about my brother has some authority, has some element of genuineness, because you are experienced. So if you are saying that there is a chance my brother has survived, I take it as a good confirmation or assurance. The like of him. And then she asks him the next important question. Knowest thou this country? So are you familiar with this place? And usually sea captains, they move around a lot and they know a lot about these islands around which they move. Aye, madam, well, for I was bred and born not 3 hours travel from this very place. And coincidentally, the sea captain was actually born around this place, very close to this place. So he knows about things that happen here. Who governs here? Now see, the way Viola is trying to get all the information that she needs so that she can save herself from any unpleasant things that might happen to a lonely woman stranded on this strange coast. A noble duke in nature as in name. In last video we have talked about Orsino and his name, and how that name again refers to a constellation. So it's a very noble thing. And usually we see that Orsino is praised by people because other than his problem with love, as a ruler, he is a competent person. Okay, so everybody likes him as a duke, a noble duke. And then Viola asks his name. What is his name? Orsino. I have heard my father name him. So Viola, she remembers this name from something that her father had mentioned. So from here we gather this information that Orsino is not just a person who is confined to Illyria. His fame or his reputation is spread around different other places too. Viola's father used to talk about Orsino. So this is how Shakespeare builds on the characters. He constructs these characters from little bits of information we get, not just from the speeches that these characters make, but from their actions, from the references to these characters which the other characters make. So from the sea captain's words we come to realize, and from Viola's answer we realize that Orsino is a noble duke, and he was famous even abroad. And then she says he was a bachelor then. So we can deduce from this statement that maybe Viola's father was talking about Orsino and the fact that he was a bachelor, because Viola's father had plans of getting Viola somehow married to Orsino. So this is a hint, a suggestion. Nothing solidly concrete is established in front of us. We can make these deductions that Viola heard about Orsino and she heard that he was a bachelor. Captain says, yes, he is still a bachelor, and so is now, or so very late, because the captain, he was on sea, he doesn't know whether Orsino is still a bachelor. But last time he was here, Orsino was a bachelor. For but a month ago I went from hence, and then it was fresh in murmur. So it was a month back that this sailor had gone away from Illyria, and during that time there was this murmur, this rumor. As you know, what great ones do, the less will prattle of. Prattle means talk about. So what the great people do, what important people do, the celebrities do, common people talk about that. It happens even today. So what was that rumor? That he did seek the love of fair Olivia. So he was interested in this woman, Olivia. So I don't know if he's still a bachelor. What is she? Now Viola is getting interested. Okay, so there is this other woman, Olivia. A virtuous maid, the daughter of a count that died some 12 months since. That is, her father had died a year back, then leaving her in the protection of his son, her brother. So Olivia had a brother who shortly also died. Poor dear. So Olivia was like practically all alone now. For whose dear love, they say, she hath abjured the sight and company of men. Abjured means decided to stay away from. So Olivia has decided to stay away from men because she is very sad after the death of her brother. This we know. We have talked about this in the previous scene itself. Oh, that I served that lady and might not be delivered to the world. So she would have felt more safe if she would have been in the household of Olivia, serving her. Till I had made mine own occasion mellow. So it would have been better if I could be employed under Olivia till I could reach the position where I would have some economic independence and I could tell everybody what my estate is. Now, we might have these questions in our mind that Viola appears to be from a very well-to-do family. She could very well go approach anybody and say that please let me go back to my country, and she would inherit her father's property. This is our idea. But back then, women did not have property rights. Women did not have any way to sustain themselves economically unless they are married to somebody. Because independent women, economically independent women, were hard to come by. Therefore, Viola had to depend on somebody till he could make her situation better. Situation better means get associated with a man through marriage and live without fear, because otherwise everybody would look at her and see an unprotected woman. That is not something she wants. So that is why her first instinct was, oh, if I could serve Olivia till I could, establish myself in this world according to my estate. That were hard to compass. It's not possible, because this Olivia, well, she is not accepting any kind of application, because she will admit no kind of suit. No, not the dukes. Now the captain is not very intelligent here, because he is saying what? He is saying that when the duke is sending any application, any proposal, Olivia is rejecting. You are an ordinary woman. If you go and give her some proposal of job, Why will she even entertain you? But this is very comic because Olivia is not rejecting everybody. She is rejecting men with proposal of marriage. Viola won't be going with that. She would be going with an appeal for helping her. Of course, Olivia would have listened to her. Of course, Olivia would have protected her. At least we can say that there is a pretty good chance that Olivia would do that. But the captain says that no, the Duke doesn't have any access there. So how can you, an ordinary human being, ordinary woman, have access? Anyway, the logic is not working here, but Viola says there is a fair behavior in the captain. So she is praising the captain. Why? Because, yes, one thing is that because she is grateful that he's giving her so much information. And second thing is she wants to get some more help from him. What help? And though that nature with a beauteous wall doth oft close in pollution. Now this is a very complicated sentence, but it means something very simple. Nature with a beauteous wall means anything which looks beautiful, anything which has a beautiful outer surface, you can say. Any beautiful object, any beautiful flower, any beautiful person, human being especially, doth often close in pollution, which means in Shakespeare we hear it all the time. What looks fair is not fair at all from inside, and a rose always has a lot of thorns in it. Therefore, whatever looks good doesn't always have goodness inside that thing. It's rotten inside. Okay? Why is she saying this? She's saying this to please the sailor more. Why? Yet of thee I will believe thou hast a mind that suits with this thy fair and outward character. So just if you look at these phrases separately, you will have a better understanding of this sentence. Fair and outward character. So she says that this sailor or this captain has a fair appearance, which means he is handsome. So according to usual expectations, whatever looks good contains something corrupt, polluted. Therefore, if that captain looks good, maybe he's a very, very bad man. But she says that in you, I have seen that even though you look good, still you are good from inside. So she's saying, thou has a mind that suits with this thy fair and outward character. You have a good mind which suits your good features, appearance. So she is really, really trying to win the affection or the loyalty or the friendliness of this captain, because she needs him to do something for her. I pray thee, and I'll pay thee bounteously. So it's not just that I'm asking some favor from you, I will pay you. See, she is repeatedly talking about this economic transaction, this distance, so that she gets this service without compromising anything else. She doesn't have to offer him any other favors if she is paying him with money. So she says, and I'll pay thee bounteously. I'll give you a lot of money. Conceal me what I am. Help me hide myself. Conceal me. So she's talking about a change of identity. And be my aid, be my help for such disguise. She's talking about dressing up, disguising herself, as haply shall become the form of my intent. Intent means what she wants to do. Form means her outward appearance. So she wants to act in a way, there is an intention in her, an intent in her, and accordingly she wants to change her appearance, her form. And this sea captain can help her in that. I'll serve this duke. So she wants to get employed at Orsino's place. But how can a woman get employed there? Well, she knows that she cannot get any employment at the Duke's as a woman, because that's not the usual thing that happens. And it will also not make her feel safe, because there are so many men at Orsino's court who would target her as a woman who can be, captured and used somehow. So she wants to serve the Duke in disguise. Thou shalt present me as an eunuch to him. You will present me to the Duke because you are from around this place. So you will take me to the Duke and present me and say that this is an eunuch. Eunuches, they are those boys who were castrated when they were growing up. Why? Because when men grow up, their voices crack, and usually in their early teens, the boys who could sing very well, sometimes they were, forcefully castrated so that their sweet voices remained sweet. Why was this necessary? Because women were not allowed in theatre and performances. Therefore, in order to have that sweet, soft tone in the choir, which belonged to women usually, men were often castrated and turned into eunuchs, because no testosterone means no heaviness of voice. So that was a very brutal thing to do, and this practice started from around 480, and it continued till even 17th, 18th centuries. And during the time when Twelfth Night was staged, around 1550s, castrati sang at these church choirs, Sistine Chapel in fact. Choir boys who were castrated so that their feminine voices could be retained, could continue. Therefore, Viola decides to go as a eunuch. Why eunuch? Why not just a man? Because Viola knows that she can disguise her looks, but she cannot disguise her voice completely. So she had to go as somebody who has undergone castration, and therefore the voice is still like a woman's. Okay, so that would be more believable, convincing for Orsino, and he would accept her without realizing that this is a woman. It may be worth thy pains, for I can sing and speak to him in many sorts of music. Viola is an accomplished singer and musician, so she can convince everybody that she is a singer eunuch. That will allow me very worth his service. What else mayhap to time I will commit. This is the biggest asset of Viola. She is a hardcore realist, and a hardcore realist knows that it is of no use to make any plans. You have to leave things to time. You have to trust that you will be able to handle things when time comes. So she has faith in time, and she has faith in herself. Only shape thou thy silence to my wit. What I need is you help me and you be silent about it. Be you his eunuch, and your mute I'll be. Mute usually means an assistant of the eunuch, of the singer, and in this case mute also means somebody who is not talkative, somebody who is silent. So because the sailor will not tell anybody about Viola's identity or her disguise, therefore he will act as her mute. When my tongue blabs, then let mine eyes not see. So he's kind of giving an oath that I will not tell anybody till my death. Okay. I thank thee, lead me on. Viola decides to go and serve Orsino. Now I want you to think about certain things which is very important in context of this scene. You see, Viola was not the first woman who landed in Illyria. I'm going to talk about a story of Cadmus. If you are from any Indian universities under CBCS, you would know that in Greek mythology, Cadmus and his wife, they ruled over Illyria. Okay. The wife of Cadmus was Harmonia. Cadmus and his wife, they left Thebes and they came here, eventually became the rulers of Illyria. And then something strange happened. Cadmus was transformed into a serpent. This whole story is in Ovid's Metamorphoses. Seeing her husband's plight, Harmonia, she strips herself and she asks her husband to come and be with her in a pool of wine. And then she herself was also transformed into a serpent. So it's a story about metamorphosis, about changing. And it's very interesting that Shakespeare is using this whole myth as a backdrop here. How? Notice the names, Harmonia, Viola. Both are so musical, aren't they? Harmonia is the goddess of harmony, of connection between human beings. Viola has a direct connection to this beautiful musical instrument, violin. And what does Orsino believe? He believes that music is the food of love. So he has a viola with him now. And this viola is going to sing to him. So Viola is like this female traveler. Harmonia was also like this female traveler when she was coming to the coast of Illyria. And she underwent a metamorphosis here. Viola is also undergoing a change. So this metamorphosis, this change of identity, why is this required? Here, in Viola's case, this change of identity is required for survival. And this decision is a pointer to the social condition that was all around her. Not just during the time when Shakespeare was writing this, but even today. Women would rather feel safe with women in most places. Of course, there are these sexual harassment cells and women's cells in most institutions, but we are still to reach that point where a woman's identity is not used against her. Viola's entry is not a comic scene at all. It's a tragic scene almost, like she is feeling so sad for her brother. And there is a parallel that we begin to draw between Viola and Olivia instantly when we know that both of them have lost their brothers. What has Olivia decided to do? She has decided to ceremoniously observe and mourn the death of her brother and use it as an excuse. She is also a realistic person. She also knows how to use things to survive, to be away from people she doesn't want to be with. In Viola, we see a more practical woman who knows how to deal with her grief, not with despair, but with hope. She keeps on hoping that her brother is alive. So what happens to Viola after she joins the service of Orsino? What name she takes up when she does that job? We will come to know about all these things in the coming scenes. In our next video, we are going to talk about the third scene, go through it line by line and analyze every aspect of that scene. It's going to be a completely different setting and we are going to be taken to a completely different place, although very much within Illyria, because Twelfth Night is all about Illyria and how people deal with illusions in Illyria. Thank you for being with me here in this video. I hope you have enjoyed today's class. I look forward to see you all in my next video too. So till then, stay happy, stay subscribed. This is Monami Mukherjee signing off. Bye-bye.